Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I feel like not that many words are necessary because you read the title, so you know what this is, but I need some words for an intro. So here we go. Anastasia Beverly Hills has released a new palette. It is the Subculture palette, which is the sister palette to the Modern Renaissance palette. I feel like I just said to the a lot. Now, being completely honest, when they officially announced this palette, I wasn't really sure if I was here for it. And I say officially released, I can put this down now, because most of you probably know that a couple months ago, someone did leak this palette before Anastasia Beverly Hills was ready to announce that they were coming out with this palette. And when it was leaked, I was like, I am getting that just for that one yellow shade. That one yellow shade in this palette had me sold that I was going to get it. However, since it's been leaked, I purchased the Jaclyn Hill palette, the Sephora editorial palette, and then I got the BH Take Me Back to Brazil palette. So when Anastasia officially announced this palette, I was just like, do you really need it? You know, the adult in me was trying to figure out, like, do you really need to spend the coins on that? But then, you know, like, the makeup junk in me was like, boo, it's Anastasia Beverly Hills. I'm gonna need you to go ahead and add that to your cart. So I did, and it's here now. So I'm going to do a look with it, and as always, give you my thoughts at the end of this video. So before I ramble anymore for what I didn't want to be a long intro, let me just get into the price and the claims. So this palette retails for $42, and they claim it's an essential eyeshadow collection. Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture palette features 14 shades that range from grungy matte to bold metallics with an underground edge. Complement to best-selling Modern Renaissance palettes, full pigment and easy to blend formula, 14 shades with ultra matte, duochrome, and metallic finishes, including dual-ended brush. And thank you for clarifying, because I was like, I'm pretty sure those two like extra shimmery shades are duochromes, and it says here that they are duochromes. And as of right now, this is sold out on Anastasia's website, but I believe it went live today on Ulta's website, and it'll be up on Sephora around the 15th or something like that. I don't know. I'll leave that information in the description box down below. As always, the palette is going to be somewhere here or here, probably here in the corner while I do my look, so you can see what shades I'm using. And now, without further ado, let's get into this palette. So like I mentioned, the main reason I wanted this palette was for this yellow shade called Edge, so I'm definitely going to be using that in today's look. I already primed my lids using the Kat Von D concealer and the NARS smudge proof eye base, so I'm just gonna jump right into it. Okay, so I'm gonna use Fudge as my crease color, and something I'm also gonna do that I usually don't do is use the actual brush that comes with the palette just for this side while I'm applying Fudge. Okay, so after just packing Fudge on, I'm gonna use the Sigma E40 to try to blend that out. Okay, so I went through and literally packed Fudge on and then tried to blend it out, and then packed some more Fudge on and then tried to blend it out. I did it 3 times for each eye, and then on top of that I went back with Edge to try to blend Edge and Fudge onto my eyes. Why do I feel like I don't have any eyeshadow on? And Like, I feel like there's nothing on my lids. Okay, so using the Sigma E54, I'm gonna use this shade Destiny as my lid color. Okay, so I'm gonna take this shade Electric and apply it right on top of Destiny. So I'm gonna use the shade Untamed on top of where I put Fudge, and just to kind of like blend into this area where Electric and Destiny are. Okay, so I'm gonna take this eye base by PUR. It's their eye polish in Cashmere, and just apply that to like the inner corners of my eyes so I can kind of have like a gradient type of effect, I guess. Okay, so I made one last attempt to wrap it all up by applying Edge to just kind of blend everything in. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of my face, and I'm gonna come back and give my thoughts on this palette. So here is the final look that I came up with. I used the shade Axis on my bottom lash line, and then on the inner corner, I tried to go in with Electric. So by now, I feel like we've all heard that this palette has a lot of kickback. Now, really, kickback is not that big of an issue for me, but there's something different this time around. I mean different with the palette in general. Where's my Modern Renaissance? So I grabbed my self-made palette from Anastasia, and then I grabbed my Modern Renaissance palette, and I just feel like as Anastasia palettes get newer, the extent of the kickback is getting more intense. Like, I just feel like they're pressing the shadows less and less, which is creating more kickback. I'm gonna take this brush. I'm gonna take the brush that comes with the Anastasia palette. Let me just swirl it. So here's the inside of the self-made palette. I'm just gonna take a shade, this buttery shade, because I don't use it that much, and just swirl once into the palette. Was there kickback? Yes. I don't know if, let me try to zoom that in. Nope, come on. Nope, this isn't working. Come on. I don't know if that's... I don't know how well you could see that, but the kickback wasn't that crazy. A little dust came out in the air, not that much. And now I'm gonna take the Modern Renaissance palette. As you can see, a lot more used than my self-made palette. I really hope all of this is focusing. And I'm gonna take a shade, I'm starting to hit pan on that one. I'm gonna take Raw Sienna, I guess, and just, once again, one-time swirl. A little bit more kickback than with the self-made palette. Again, let me try to zoom this in. I don't even, nope, oh wait, no, that was the right way. So now going in with my Modern Renaissance palette, shade that hasn't been touched yet. Rowdy, I guess. Like, what? Like, do you see that? How it progressively got worse with each palette on the amount of kickback that comes up. So like I said, kickback is usually not an issue for me, but when I'm getting dents like that in the shades my first day using them, it's a little something to be cautious of. And I'm gonna need the people who are complaining about the people complaining about kickback to fall back, all right? It's more than just a mess. Yes, one of the main issues with kickback is that it can get all over the place, then you gotta worry about wiping it off your face. I always do my eyes before I do the rest of my face anyway, but what happens if it gets, you know, on the table that you're using? What happens if you're not doing your makeup in the normal place that you would be, a bathroom, whatever? Like, who wants to go through the time of cleaning up that kickback? But more importantly, what happens if you really like this palette? Like, that is how it looks after my first time using it. I've only been using this thing for the last 2 hours. So what happens if you really like this palette and it's something that you use every day? You're the type of person who wears makeup every day, go to work with eyeshadow on every single day. If that's how it looks after the first time of you using it, and you constantly use this palette, you're gonna run out of this in like a month, maybe 2 if you're lucky. So then you're going to have to purchase another palette, and this palette is not cheap. So no, it's not just a mess with the kickback. You gotta think to yourself, like, how much product am I wasting here with this kickback? Now, as for blending, it blends oddly. It's like skipping, it's sticking, it's grabbing. It's just doing a whole lot of what you don't want it to do. Like, I just want you to blend out, and I feel like it's sticking to where you initially put it, and then it doesn't want to go anywhere else. Like, it just sticks there, and then you can, you know, kind of blend it out to other places, but the actual pigment is just gonna stay exactly where you put it. And I have something else to do with blending later on, but I don't know how noticeable it is, but like here, at least with the, what shade was that? What shade was that? The Untamed shade that I used on the outer V of my lid, I initially stuck it like right here. I'm gonna zoom in, hopefully I can remember to do that. And it kind of didn't go like the pigment didn't go anywhere else besides right here. So I kind of noticed that right away when I was trying to blend out edge. So I was using a brush like this that had a fluffier end, and I switched to this brush that comes with the palette because it has this end, which is a little more dense. So I started trying to pack on the shades and then try to blend it out, because I feel like you have to be really specific with the way that you blend with these eyeshadows. I feel like you really have to master how to blend, which I did not do with this, how to blend these shades, because I feel like if you blend too hard, that they're just gonna start morphing into one almost muddy type of shade. And if you don't blend enough or too hard, I guess, then the shades just kind of like stay on top of each other and they don't really want to blend out. Honestly, I feel like the best that I've seen these look, or at least haven't heard anyone mention the blending issue, is either when someone just packed the eyeshadows on top of each other, or they did a look like a cut crease that doesn't really require that much blending. And even if you don't get the best blending with it, you're gonna cover it up with concealer or whatever you're gonna use to cut your crease anyway, so you don't really notice. So that's something to keep in mind when it comes to the blend. Now, my biggest issue with this palette is the pigmentation, because I just want to know
what they at though.
Now it swatches beautifully on my fingers, on my arm. It'll swatch amazing, but I feel like the pigmentation is not correlating to my eyes. Like, the pigmentation on my finger is not correlating to the pigmentation I get on my eye. I feel like I put that yellow on and it disappeared. Like, right away, just disappeared into my eyes. And even right now, I can't even tell if that's a yellow that's on my lid or if that's just the eyeshadow base that I had put on before I even started my eyes. Now, obviously, I am of a deeper skin tone, and it's not uncommon for eyeshadows to lack pigmentation, which, well, it's not uncommon for eyeshadows that usually have a lot of pigmentation to not come off that pigmented on a deeper skin tone. I had a similar situation with the BH Take Me Back to Brazil. One second. Now, if you've seen the video that I did on this, you would have seen that this swatches extremely pigmented. I don't remember which shade I used. I know I used this red shade. So there it is on my finger. It looks great, and let me put that down. Where is it gonna show? Something quick. And, you know, on my hand, it looks pigmented, but when I put it on my actual eyelid, you couldn't really see it there. However, if you saw my Sephora Pro video, I grabbed that one too, so I don't have to keep turning around. I used, what was it? I think it was this shade as my transition shade, because I did a cut crease, and once again, pigmented on the back of my finger, pigmented, extremely pigmented on my, I never know which way to turn my hand, pigmented on my hand. When I put it on my eyes, pigmented on my eyes. Now for this Subculture palette, just gotta wipe my finger off there. Shade I haven't tried yet. This New Wave shade, pigmented on my finger. Actually, I probably should have used the shade that I put on my eyes. But anywho, pigmented on my finger, pigmented on, ignore my finger, pigmented on my hand, but I just feel like this wouldn't be pigmented on my eyes just because almost every shade that I did use on my eyes was not pigmented. And I honestly can't even tell you how Fudge and Edge blended into each other because I can't even see them anymore. Like I don't know if this is Untamed or if that's Fudge, because I don't see Fudge in my crease anymore. So I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the whole, you know, skin tone playing an issue there. Like that's why the shades aren't really showing up on me. Electric, I don't know if you noticed that when I opened up my palette. Electric looks like I took a knife to it because I took my finger to it. I scratched off the first layer of Electric because when I was trying to put it on, it wasn't really going on. So I thought, you know, maybe it's just the first layer, because I have had that with one highlighter from one of the Anastasia Glow kits where I just scratched off the top layer and then underneath I had more pigment. So with this, I thought, let me just scratch that off, and once I did get more pigment. And I feel like putting this on top of Destiny really helped it to show through. Destiny, again, when I was initially putting it on, the very first time I put it on, I said, where did it go? Because I didn't see it anymore. And I did have to start, you know, packing on Destiny and packing on Untamed and packing on even Electric. And that, for me, goes back to the kickback thing, because if it's lacking pigmentation for whatever reason, my skin tone, whatever other reason it's lacking pigmentation when I put it on, if I need to keep going back into the palette and dipping and putting it on and putting it on and putting it on, isn't that creating, one, more kickback, and two, more product that's being wasted for me to apply this. Now, I mentioned before that Anastasia did have this palette leak before she was ready to announce it, so I don't know if the leak has anything to do with this. You know, maybe they were rushed into releasing this after the leak. You know, they released it before it was ready, but this just does not feel the same. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's me. I don't know. But I just can't wrap my mind around why it's working so differently than other products that she has that are similar. I don't get it. Do I feel like it's an awful palette? No, I was able to create a look with it. Might not be the look I was expecting or a look that I would be used to, but I was able to create a look with it. But do I regret getting this palette? I feel like the collector in me wants to say no, I don't regret getting this palette, just because I'm a collector of everything that's Anastasia Beverly Hills, except for the Mario palette and except for her concealers. I haven't tried her concealers yet. But other than that, I have like everything Anastasia Beverly Hills. So I feel like the collector in me is just like, girl, it's Anastasia, you have it just to have it. But if I'm thinking of the consumer in me, do I feel like if I had gone with my initial instinct decision, my initial idea of not getting this when it was officially released, do I feel like I would be missing anything with this palette? No, I do not. I would not be missing anything if I did not purchase this palette. And like I said, I own almost everything from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and this is the second time I can say I'm truly just disappointed and unimpressed with something that I purchased from Anastasia Beverly Hills. The first time is the, I mentioned it before, the brow definer. I don't like that. But this is the second time, and it's just weird. It's weird for me to say it because I don't understand why it's working the way that it is. I almost feel like this palette is just not user friendly, if that makes sense. You know, you gotta prime your eyes this way, you gotta blend that way, and you have to use these specific type of brushes, and it's just like, this isn't a chore. Like, this shouldn't require that much. You know, who wants to exert that much energy and time every time you sit down to use this palette? And what happens if you want to use this with other shades? You know how those shades work, but knowing that these shades have to be used so specifically, like, how are they going to work with other shades? I just feel like this is a little too high maintenance for me. So that is it for this video. I hope seeing this on my face and hearing some of my thoughts has helped your decision whether or not you're gonna try it out for yourself. I don't know if I mentioned it, but this lipstick is the new black from Anastasia's matte lipsticks that she just released. Literally a couple of hours ago, I uploaded a lip swatch video, so you know, go check that out after this one. If you have this palette, you know, you have similar thoughts, you have different thoughts, let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to thumbs up, comment, and subscribe down below. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!